Lesson 5 Switch Configurations Part 2. In this video lesson, I'll show you how to make basic configurations of switch security. Let's start from the secure unused ports. So in our switch, we often use not all the ports which are available on our switch. So that is why it will be better that if you will manually turn off all the interfaces, because by default, switches interfaces are turned on automatically. So that how to do it, we have to select the interface range instead of selecting the interfaces one by one. You can select the range, you can even select all the ports, and afterward you can configure them, like you can turn them off. So let me show you how to do it. So I get the packet tracer, and for example we have switch 1, and as you see, so let's take a look for the switch ports status of the interfaces. Show interface IP interface brief. So, and from here we can see that we can see that our ports are down, but not manually down, not administratively down. So for example, if you will go to configure interface FA07, for example, and if you'll say shutdown, and now if you'll take a look for the status of your interfaces one more time, you'll understand that, you see, this is manually down. But when you see just down, it means that this port is turned on, but it's not connected to the cable, or maybe it's connected to cable, but from the other side, cable is not connected to the end device or to for other networking device. So that to be able to turn off all unused ports, you have to type command interface range, and afterward define your range FA0. And for example, we are using FA03 and 2 and 1. Then we have to turn off all ports starting from FA04 till FA024 actually. So we are writing FA04 and FA024. And now we are going to configure all the ports which we selected in the range, and it's time to turn off this ports. And do show IP interface brief command is going to show you that, you see, administratively down, 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 and so on. But also we have two ports like gigabit 01 and gigabit 02. I forget about them. So we also need to configure them. Interface range gigabit 01 and 2. Shutdown. Do show IP interface brief command will show us that all of them are turned off. And this is how we can make configuration of our security, basic security, which is turning off all the ports which are unused. And it's time to show you how to make the configuration of the port security and what is the port security is. So we have three variants of the port security usage. That is static secure MAC address, dynamic secure MAC addresses, and sticky secure MAC addresses. The idea of the port security is that you want to make a filtration on the switch port so that it will work with only predefined MAC addresses. For example, here we have a situation like this. Switch 1 is connected with PC0, which get the MAC address which is ending 70EE, and by using port FA01. Switch 1 also connects through port FA02 to the MAC address C771. And we want to make such kind of scenario that these two MAC addresses are trusted MAC addresses for switch 1, and switch ports FA01 will work only with MAC address of 70EE or C771. It can be like, you are disconnecting this cable and you will be connected here, and you are disconnecting this cable and you will be connected here. So switch will work with them because switch 1 trusts for both of these MAC addresses. But in case if someone else will try to make access, so he will make disconnect here and he will try to have access, and his MAC address is going to be for example, A, B, C, D at the end. So then switch 1 is not trusting to this MAC address, and then switch 1 will say, alright, I'm not working with you. So, and when the violation will be happening, so we have three types of violations. Switchport can say, I'm down, I'm shutting down my port, and it will go to error disable mode, or it can protect it. So when we have the shutdown mode, so that even if the ABCD will try to make connection, but afterward it will unplug the cable, and our PC1 will try to have access for this port one more time. The port will be in the same mode. It will be in error disable mode. It will be shut down. So I'll show you this types of violations in details and how to make configuration of them a little bit later. But now I want to show you a scenario in which we will protect with you switch 2's FA01 port, and we will make configuration that switch port, the interface port FA01 will work only with this MAC address, and also we'll say that it will work with the MAC address of switch 1 FA03 port of this MAC address. Because you know, when you are interconnecting switches between each other, switches are learning MAC addresses of the ports, of the neighbor ports through which they are connected. And for example, when switch 2 will be connected with switch 1, in the MAC address table of switch 2, you will see this value 1003. It will be learned automatically, and afterward, when computer 0 or computer 1 will try to make connection, switch 2 will learn also their MAC addresses. But first MAC address which will be learned in interconnection between switches will be neighbor switch port MAC address. It's time to make such kind of situation, that scenario, that we will have with you three MAC addresses which will be trusted by switch 2 FA01 port. How to do it? First of all, we have to make such kind of thing, like in switch 2, in global configuration mode, we'll penetrate into configuration of interface FA01, sorry. So let me delete it. And then in switch configuration, we have to turn off auto state of our switch port. We have to say that it will work as the switch port mode access, for example. It means that this port will work with single virtual local area network. And then we have to turn on functionality of the port security. We have to type switch port and port security. So this command turn on, so let me write description, turns on port security. And then we have to define REST configuration, so we'll type switch port security, and then we'll type the MAC address. So if we are using static secure MAC addresses, so then we can type this command, switch port security, and then MAC address is going to be, and one of these three MAC addresses, 70EE, then C771, so one by one we'll write them. MAC address is going to be, so I think that here we have not MAC address, but here we have something else. So let me try to do it in the packet tracer, because I don't want to show you the example with syntax error. Let me also change the size of our font in the CLI, because it is too big for the presentation. Well, and I'm going to make configuration, so we don't need this part, so let me hide it like this. We need to make configuration of our switch 2 to protect our FA01 port. And as I showed you in the theoretical part, we have to penetrate into configuration of the interface FA01, and then we have to say a switchport mode access and switchport port security. We turn on the functionality of port security and then switchport port security. And here we have variants like MAC address. Alright, and here we are defining the MAC addresses which will be trusted by this port. So we have the MAC address of our neighbor switch. I just took it from the FAs from this configurations. So you can type the command show interface FA03 and it will show you what is the MAC address of this interface. So here it is. You see? This is MAC address of the interface. So you can just copy this MAC address and then you will just paste it here. I'm saying that it's already, so it found duplicate MAC address. It means that this MAC address already learned by the switch. Show MAC address table. So you see we already have it here. So that then let's do it this thing. We can just disconnect our cable before we'll start to make our configurations and show MAC address. So now it is empty, and now we'll make configuration of our switchport port security MAC address and this MAC address, and then we'll get the RS2 MAC addresses, or let's say that we'll have with you a situation that only PC0 will be able to communicate with laptop 0. And let's say that this computer will not be able to communicate. Okay, so let's say that not trusted MAC address is going to be. So that, look, we define it here with you two MAC addresses which are going to be trusted by the switch port FA01. So let me now interconnect my switches between each other. Alright, and then we also have to define switch port security, and here we have the configuration of what will be maximum available MAC addresses which will be trusted by the switch port FA02, FA01 of switch 2, and we will define it as 2. By default it is 1. So that we made up configuration of 2 MAC addresses. Statically we did it, and then we say that maximum is going to be 2 MAC addresses only, and also we have to define what will be happening. So let me make abbreviation port security. What will be happening if violation will be happening. So violation, нарушение. And the violation we have 3 variants for the violation. So if our switch to port FA01 trust only for this port, this MAC address and this MAC address, and if untrusted MAC address will try to make communication with this port, then violation will be happening. And when violation will be happening, we have 3 variants: protect, restrict, and shutdown. By default it is shutdown, so let's try to have shutdown. If you will not configure switchport port security violation shutdown, nothing will be changed. I mean, because it is by default is shutdown. And then let's check the configurations of switch 2's FA01 port. Show port security and interface FA01. And here we can see that port security is turned on, it's enabled. But if you will take a look for the other port, for example FA02, you will see that it is disabled. And now also we are able to see here that the violation mode is shut down. And also we can see here that the maximum MAC addresses which are able to work with this port, which are trusted and which will be able to work with this port, only 2 of them. And total MAC addresses already learned 2, and they've been configured. So we manually configured these 2 MAC addresses. And we can see here also that the security violation count is 0. It means that we didn't have any violation yet. And when you will try to make now ping from PC0, and if you'll take a look for the result, so let me try to do it one more time. So ping from PC0, so we have successful communication. And also let me show you the MAC address table of the switch. And here we can see that we have through FA01 port, we have 2 statically learned MAC addresses which we gave manually through this command. So this command is making possible to see here static values, and we can see that they are working on VLAN 1 and they are working through port FA01. And one dynamic MAC address which been learned automatically by switch 2 when laptop 0 made up communication with PC 0. So well, and we can see here one more time, let's take a look. Here we have with you maximum available are 2 and maximum 2 already working on this port, so that if we will try to make access from PC 1 to laptop 0, then switch to port FA01 will start to learn its MAC address, but it's not trusted, and then port is going to be shut down. So let's try to do it. And you see, I tried to make access to switch to laptop 0 from PC1, and it is making up the violation, so that if we'll take a look for our port security status, we can see here that the violation count is 1. It means that violation happened. And also, if you'll take a look for the interface FA01 status, you will see that it is line protocol is down and it is placed in error disabled mode. So error disabled mode is such kind of mode which is the interface, the port is placed into error disabled mode when something went wrong, like the violation happened. And look, now we'll try to make communication from PC0, who is trusted to make communication with laptop 0 on FA01 port, but we will see that we have failed. And it means that if one violation happens, shutdown violation mode is making such kind of thing that no other communication can be happening through this port. And it's not the best choice of making configuration of your port security with the shutdown violation mode, due to that fact that it will may negatively impact into your network. So that in this example, other computers, if we have here, for example, 10 or 20 of them who are trusted, they will not also be able to communicate with this part of the network, because the port is placed on the shutdown mode, is placed in error disabled mode. Well, how to turn on this interface after it's been placed into error disabled mode? You have to go to global configuration mode and penetrate into configuration of FA01, and then you have to turn it off. You have to type shutdown command, and then you have to type command no shutdown, and it will start to work again. And when our PC0 will try to make communication with laptop 0, it is okay, but when our PC1 will try to make a communication with laptop 0, then it is again placed into the error disabled mode, so that we have to reset this interface, shutdown and no shutdown. Alright, and to prevent such kind of negative effect of the port security, you are able to select one of the 2 other modes. They are called protect and restrict. So a protect mode is doing what? It is restricting. So let's say that, not restricting, let's say that he is not trusted, not trusted. And when not trusted, MAC address tries to make communication with this part, so that this port, FA01 port, is just protecting the communication. It's saying that no, you cannot make communication, but when PC0 will try to make communication, it will be able to communicate at the same time when PC1 is not able to communicate. And this is called protect mode. And also we have restrict mode. It is absolutely same as protect mode, but additionally it has the counter of the violations. So let me write here, it has violation counter as shutdown. So shutdown mode has violation counter, and restrict mode has violation counter, and protect mode doesn't have violation counter. So that the restriction mode is working the same as the protect mode, but when violation happens, restrict mode makes the counter, like it is increasing counter to 1. Okay, one violation happened. Okay, when second violation will be happened, okay, it will be 2 and 3, and it will be 3, and so on, so that it can make the log files then, and it can save logs into the predefined server, so that you can analyze how many violations happened in this port. Okay, but protect mode is not making such kind of violation counter. So that let's try to use one of them. So we'll open Switch2 again, and here we will change our configuration: switch port security, and we'll say that violation will be now protect. And then we'll try to make the same test. We'll make ping from PC0 to laptop 0. It is working, but when we'll try to make ping from PC1 to laptop 0, it will be failed. And if we'll try to make ping one more time from PC0, it is successful, and one more time ping from PC1, it is failed. So that if you will type the command do show port security interface FA01 on Switch2, you will see here that the violation mode is protect, and you will see here that security violation counter is 0. It means that the counter is not working here. And if you want to have the your counter which is working and which is counting how many violations happened, then you have to type command switchport port security violation is going to be restrict. And then we'll try to make again, say it's working, and PC1 is not working. So one time we tried to do it, and now you see violation count is 1. So if we'll try to make violation one more time, we have to see here counter 2, and so on. Alright, this is how we can make configuration of the port security, and now you know what are the differences between types of violations, and I showed you how to make configuration of the static secure of the port security, and now it's time to show you how to make a dynamic secure MAC addresses. Instead of typing this MAC addresses manually, your switch port can define MAC addresses dynamically. So how to do it? First of all, we'll go to configuration of switch2, and we'll type command show run. This configuration will show us these two commands, so we'll just copy them, and in Notepad we'll edit these two commands by using no. So we'll delete these two MAC addresses from our configuration of FA01 port of switch2, and we'll just paste them. And then we'll take a look one more time for our running configuration file, so that we'll be sure that we don't have them. You see, we don't have these MAC addresses. And then we have to So if we didn't make configuration of MAC addresses, then switch will learn MAC addresses automatically. So that in our switch 1 FA0 switch to FA01 port, we have configured port security. We turn on and we say that maximum 2 MAC address will be available to make communications through this port, and if violation will be happening, then it will work as a restrict mode. So that so look, we have to take a look for the MAC address table of the switch, and it's saying that it has 2 MAC addresses learned by the switch. One learned through FA01 port, another one is learned through FA02 port. So that if our computer 0 or computer 1 will try to make communication with laptop 0, then its MAC address will be learned here. So that PC 0, for example, is trying to make communication with laptop 0. And after so you see it is successful. And here we have to see here the next MAC address, which is written here. And then it means that show port security interface FA01 is saying that we have 2 MAC addresses already in use. So maximum we allow 2 MAC address, and total MAC address are 2. And we don't have any configured MAC address like we had it in previous example when we used static MAC address filtration. So it means that 2 MAC address learn it dynamically, automatically, when PC0 will try to make communication with laptop 0. And then if PC1 will try to make communication with laptop 0, it will be denied. So that so let me take it off. Now in this example, PC1 is not trusted. But if we will clear our MAC address table, and if we'll try to take a look for this table one more time, now it is empty. And when computer 1 will try to make access to laptop 0 before computer 0 did it, you see that it is successful. So that now he is not he is trusted. So that let's try to do it again, and it is successful, you see. But when we'll take a look for MAC address table, we see that we have 2 MAC addresses which are learned by this port, and one of them is MAC address of our neighbor port, and another MAC address is relay to the PC1. So now it is trusted to make communication. Let me show you one more time. But when PC0 will try to make communication with laptop 0, you see it is failed. And now we may say that PC0 is not trusted to make communication. So that if we'll take a look for the port security, we can see here some violations are happening, and our port security is working here. But another thing which I want to mention about this dynamic learning of the port security, it's not also the best choice which you can select, because you know we have the aging time, and aging time is the time which is MAC address is known by the switch port, and after this aging time expires, switch forgets about that MAC addresses, and then every time when your switch will forget about MAC address, it will start to learn new MAC addresses, so that your network will not be properly protected due to that fact that you know that everything will be changed. So for example, our aging time in the Catalyst switches is 2 minutes, and after 2 minutes it will start to remember another MAC address, and it will trust to one MAC address, and after 2 minutes it can trust to another MAC address, and maybe it will not be the best choice which you can select here. So that it will be better if you will start to use another type of the MAC address learning state. It is called sticky secure MAC addresses, whereas sticky secured MAC address can dynamically learn MAC addresses as dynamic secure MAC address, but additionally, all learned MAC addresses are stored in running configuration file so that you can save them, and it will be same effect as you type them manually, so that let's try to do it. But before we'll start to do it, we'll take a look for running configuration file, and here we don't see any MAC addresses because it is dynamically learned MAC addressing. And then before we have to clear MAC addresses table, show MAC, and you see it's empty. And then we have to make configuration of FA01 interface, and FA01 interface will be configured with the configuration Switchport port security, and we'll say that MAC address is going to be a sticky. So before we made up configuration of the MAC address manually, but now we can type MAC address sticky, and that's it. And then we will make such kind of example. We'll try to make connection from PC1 to laptop 0. So we have success. And then let's try to take a look for MAC address table. And we see that these two MAC addresses are learned by the Switch2's FA01 port. And if you'll type the command show running configuration file, here you can see the MAC address which is learned by the Switchport FA01 is here, but I don't see here the MAC address of our neighboring switch, maybe because it was learned before our sticky started to be used. So that let me clear the MAC address table. Alright, and let me try to make communication one more time. So I don't see the second MAC address, the MAC address of our FA01, FA03 port of switch 1. And let me then make such kind of thing. I will firstly disconnect my cable, and I'll say clear port security sticky show run. So I don't see any learned MAC address here because I cleared them in the running configuration file. We don't have them. Show MAC address table is showing me that I have only connection with this port. And let me try to make connection then between my switches. And I also have to be sure that my interface is configured properly. Yeah, like this. Alright, and let me try to make access one more time. From PC1 to laptop 0, show running configuration file is now showing me that I have two MAC addresses which are learned automatically, but they are placed, you see, into the running configuration file, so that after I made a first communication and then PC0 will try to make communication, it is now failed because it is not trusted. And if I will save my configurations like copy run to start, and even if I'll reload my switch, and then I'll try to make one more time this connection from PC0, it is not trusted because switch 2 remembers about MAC address of our trusted computer. And if I'll type command show run, it still has this information because we saved this configuration into the startup configuration file. And then if you'll type the command like show port security interface FA01, you will see that you still have this total 2 MAC addresses which are learned stickily. This is the last slide, which I wanted to show you, the port security violation modes. So when you have the protect configuration, so let's start from shutdown. When you have the shutdown mode, violation mode, and when violation happens, then you don't have traffic, no forwarding of the traffic, and it's not sending the syslog messages, and it displays the error message. No, it increased the violation counter. Yes, and it shut down the ports. Yes, and it is placing the port into the error disabled mode. Restrict, and whereas protect mode is also not sending traffic, not sending syslog message, not showing any display errors, and it is not increasing, you see, not increasing the violation counter, and it's not shutting down the port. The port is still working. And whereas restrict, the only difference between protect and restrict, it is just it is sending syslog message and it is increasing the violation counter, so that it can have the connection with the server and it can send the syslog messages for the server, so that the server will understand how many violations happened, and it will be good to make a monitor of your network. This is the end of this lesson. I hope that it was informative for you. Maybe you are a little bit confused with all of this, violation modes like protect, restrict, and shutdown, and between static, dynamic, and sticky MAC address learning. But after you will make 1-2 example, I think that it will be very understandable for you.